Before I start this video, I just want to say that if you are feeling depression and anxiety and any real symptoms, please reach out to someone, reach out to a professional and get professional help. The purpose of this channel is for me to pass on the things that I learned over the course of my journey and over the course of the period of time where I felt absolute despair, where I felt like the only way out was to make the irreversible decision. What I realized is that so many people in this world feel like that. Throughout my time of healing, I've met so many people that have it way worse than even I had it. So I decided I didn't want to suffer anymore. No one wants to suffer, but very few people really, truly make that decision to stop suffering. In the same way that very few people make the decision to change their lives and lose weight. You can find many different inspirational accounts of someone that weighed 300-400 pounds and then just was over it. What did they have to do to lose that much weight? What kind of sacrifices did they have to make in their life? What kind of foods did they have to turn down? How hopeless did it seem for them? This is a problem that pervades every aspect of life. We all want something more. We all desire change, but the road there is so difficult that our desire for change is not stronger than our desire for comfort. That's really all it boils down to. Any kind of major change takes a lot of work. You're gonna have to go deep within yourself, and not just once. It's gonna have to turn into a cycle that you're able to stay consistent with. What I realized is that the only way to really do that is to enjoy the process. How do you teach yourself to enjoy something that you don't really like? It's not pleasurable to think about the negative things that have occurred in your life, but it's not pleasurable just the same way it's not pleasurable to go into a gym. How many of you out there hate going to the gym? There's people everywhere. There's lines for equipment. I don't know really what I'm doing. And then look around and you're lost. I'm gonna go hit the treadmill now. And you just kind of don't feel like you did anything. And then you go home and then you just destroy a cheeseburger. There's just something about it that is not desirable. But why do certain people love going to the gym? Over the course of my despair, I found myself wishing a lot. I wish I didn't have this pain. I wish I had more money. I wish this person loved me more. I wish these people spoke to me. I wish I wasn't abandoned. I wish I was happier. But one day while meditating, I had this memory of sitting on the couch next to my dad, and my dad had this magazine full of yachts. And he said, James, one of these days, if I hit the lotto, I'm gonna buy one of these yachts. Look at these yachts. And I would just stare at these beautiful boats with him. And I was just captivated by these amazing looking yachts. And look, this one has a kitchen in it, and this one has a bedroom in it, and this one. He didn't know what he was doing, but he was cultivating a destructive seed in my mind, where it's okay to ruminate and wish, but not really do anything about it. My dad worked for the city of New York for his whole life. He was a property manager. He wasn't making the big bucks at all. But he always talked about the lottery. He always had lottery tickets. He played religiously. But the point is that I found myself emulating my dad, wishing all the time. I just wish this would go away. But what I realized is that the mind is so powerful. You can make those wishes come true. There's times when I'm in school and I say, man, I wish I was better at math. And as soon as the sentence, it doesn't even have to come out of my mouth, this could be a thought. As soon as the sentence runs its course, I realize I can be good at math. If you could wish, right? If you could say, I wish I was a math wizard, that math just came naturally to me. What could you accomplish if you were a math genius? I'm talking about Mozart level, Bruce Lee level, but with math. You would be an invaluable asset to the government, to anyone. You'd have everything in your grasp if you just knew math, if you just loved it. Well, that translates to everything. Man, I really wish I knew how to play the piano so that I could go to a party and dazzle everyone with my piano playing skills. You can. It just takes some time. But it's that process of learning math, it's the process of learning a piano or a guitar or language. It sucks that we hate. But how can you flip that upside down? How do you look at people that love it? What do? There's a process by which you can begin to enjoy something that you don't really enjoy. And it starts with meditation. Meditation, it's simply anchoring your attention on something and keeping it there. It's choosing some point of focus and saying, I'm going to focus on this thing. I'm going to be terrible at it for the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, but I'm going to keep doing it. It's tantamount to not having done a push-up in 14 years and saying, I want to do 10 push-ups, damn it. And you get on the floor and you can barely do one. And then the next day, you can barely do one again. But after a couple of weeks, you busting out 10 push-ups like that because you visualized what it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like to finally be able to do them push-ups. What is doing 10 push-ups going to lead to next? What's the next step? I had a very similar thing that happened to me in my mind. I said, what would I look like if I was no longer burdened and weighed down by this depression and this despair, by this anger, by this hurt? What would that look like? So I entered into a meditation where I visualized in my mind, what is the supreme version of myself? Who is that? This version of myself doesn't want to drive like a maniac anywhere. He's not going to get upset when people cut him off and honk the horn and be angry. He's not going to be upset when his family don't speak to him. He's not going to be upset at the religion that he grew up in anymore. He's not going to care. He's not going to be so easily saddened and depressed by things. He's going to have a strong character. He's going to be confident when he walks into work. He's going to look at people, how you doing? Introduce himself, shake their hand. He's not going to feel timid or intimidated by anyone at all, no matter who it is. The previous me, I don't know what it is. I fall apart in front of authority. My boss or a doctor or something like that, and I'm just like a little child. But I'm not a little child. I'm like, I have value. Why do I feel this way? Well, meditate again. Let's see. Go back into my childhood. How was I raised? Well, my mother ruled with an iron fist because she had to. Because my dad was like a lump on a log. Never there on the weekends, partying, drinking, spending all our money. And she was left with all of us, 3 boys and a girl. And we were freaking crazy. We drove her insane. I know that because I have 2 boys and they drive me insane. I started to realize that a lot of my fears had to do with the environment that I grew up in. They didn't like noise. Stop running, stop jumping. My dad would tell me, you weigh less than a quarter of what I weigh and you sound like an elephant walking across the house, stomping your feet. All of those things created this atmosphere of like, I don't want to displease my parents. I don't want to make a lot of noise. You know, I want to be quiet. Because we're trying to survive. We're children and we're trying to survive in this atmosphere this environment that we live in. All of this began to circle my mind and I began to form this picture of the perfect version of myself. And that gave me pleasure and delight to imagine this version of myself that could walk in a room and just command respect and not be, timid or afraid. But after I finished the meditation, it's not like I was magically healed. But what that did was it gave me a strong motivation, okay? If you're not that way, if you're already a pretty confident person, whatever it is you're going through in your life, we all have something. One of the most confident, intelligent people that I know was rocked. His life was rocked when he was given a diagnosis. And I saw the change. This person who just exuded fearlessness and like he just walked in the room and it was like, whoa. I worked with him a number of times and I just saw this different countenance. And that's what life does to you. It rocks you to your core and it can bring you down. How do you get back up? Everything revolves around finding some kind of motivation, and we're all afraid of something. Fear is the reason why all of us behave in a negative way. I have been terrified of being alone. In the Jehovah's Witness religion I grew up in, when you acted up and you didn't play by the rules, you get disfellowship. No one talks to you. None of your friends, none of your family. That was terrifying to me. It's like solitary confinement. Had that fear of being alone. I've had the fear of everyone leaving me. Then it happened. That's the worst thing. When you have a fear and then it happens, it's like your child telling you that he's afraid. This happened to me actually. My son was afraid of spiders. He couldn't sleep. He woke up calling me and had to run to the room in the middle of the night. But when I got there, he's had a dream about a spider and he's terrified about a spider. What do you do? Fact is that spiders do exist. Do you lie to your kid? That's what happens. Sometimes we have our fears. And sometimes those fears actually manifest and come true. And then that gives us this false sense of entitlement. See, I was right. I knew it. I knew this would happen. And it's a cyclical, destructive belief system that the things that we fear will come true, and why bother? But the fact is that the things that we fear, while they may come true, most of the time they don't. Most of the times the things that we fear are irrational thoughts that pass through our mind. How do you overcome this? If you're the most powerful person, if you're afraid of being alone, if you're sad or depressed, it's all based on fear. Just like in my last video, I talked about how Batman Begins, Bruce Wayne goes into the tunnel, into his bat cave. He shines a light and all these bats converge upon him. And he flinched in terror, but he controlled the reaction. In like manner, first you have to have the motivation to want to change something about your life. You're tired of it. You're tired of living in fear. Whatever that fear is. Maybe it's fear of death. Maybe it's fear of being alone, fear of being left, fear of being cheated on, whatever it is. You have to be tired of living in that fear. Because let's take something that you're not afraid of. Let's say you're not afraid of flying and you have seen the world and you travel and it's beautiful. But there's this friend of yours that wants to see the world but will never see it because they're terrified of flying. Don't you wish that they were able to captivate that fear and eradicate it? You have to want it bad enough. They have to want it bad enough. You have to want to release those fears. That's number one. Number two, you have to decide to go inward and face them. That means meditating. When you anchor your focus on something, let's say it's your breath. That's the most simple thing. You sit down and you decide and you set an alarm and you say, for this set amount of time, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to concentrate on my breath. This has such far-reaching benefits. It's not just helping you calm down. It's not really the point of meditation. It's helping you get better at catching a thought. That's what you're doing. You're practicing catching your thoughts. No one sits and meditates, not even lifelong meditators. No one can sit through a meditation session and not have thoughts pass through their mind. But lifelong meditators, when they hook up electrodes to their brain, scientists have seen the difference is that they catch themselves faster. When you start meditating, you are invariably going to be lost in thought for God knows how long. You're going to sit there, you're going to set an alarm, it's going to go off, and you're going to be like, damn, I didn't focus on my breath not once. I just thought about my whole day. That's okay. That's okay. The first time you step into a gym, you're going to suck. You're going to be terrible. Okay, the first time you step into a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, you're going to be terrible. The first time you step into a regular gym, you're going to be terrible. The first time you go on a run, it's going to feel like there's not enough oxygen in the world for your lungs. Okay? This reminds me of something the legendary samurai warrior Miyamoto Musashi said. It may seem difficult at first, but all things are difficult at first. Really think about that. There was a time when you couldn't even walk from here to there. What would it look like if your childhood self said, I'm done with this? You'd be a 42-year-old guy like me and being pushed around in a carriage by your mom. Not a good look. You have to be persistent with it. Meditation teaches you to catch your thoughts. It helps you to be more aware. When you do that, as you go about your day, you will invariably come across some thought that will pass through your mind, some fear. And it'll be different this time because you've been meditating for a week or two. Wow, that fear just entered my mind. Why is that? It's no longer a fear that comes over you. You become an observer of your thoughts as if they're happening to someone else. Think of yourself sitting on the side of a road and you're watching cars go by. An inexperienced meditator wants to get up and chase those cars like a little dog, right? And you're chasing it, and you catch it, and like you're just staring at this car is your thought. And then you're like, wait a second, let me let this go. It goes away. You go sit back down. There goes that other thought that you want to think about that one. You're really upset with that person. Or you know, something happened at work and you just, you start chasing this thought down and you get it and you're just like living in this thought. And then your alarm goes off and you're like, damn, But day 2, day 3, day 4, it keeps happening. And then you become more cognizant of when your thoughts start to get away from you. Eventually, you'll get to the point where throughout your day, you will realize every single time your mind goes somewhere that you don't want it to go. You become more self-aware. You become an observer of your thoughts and feelings, not a participant in them. The best way I could give you an example of personally something that happened to me recently, and this happens to everyone. All of us have bad dreams. All of us have nightmares. And I would venture to guess that 99.9% of you wake up from the nightmare and continue thinking about the nightmare. Continue playing the nightmare out in your head, thinking how it's gonna go. The nightmare's done, it's over with. But here you are, chasing the lion that took your kid, or keep running into a fire to save your family. Terrible things that these nightmares, these pictures that they give us. And here you are in bed, suffering. 30 minutes goes by, you just got this nightmare in your head. Well, that was me until I started meditating. And the other day I had a terrible dream. I was with my family and I was being robbed. And the guy had a weapon. This guy kept coming toward me and my family. It was terrifying. And I woke up and I continued playing the dream for about 30 seconds. And then I caught myself and I said, no, the dream is over. Go back to sleep. Your family's safe. In my channel, I'm still gonna put out videos like the previous 2 videos that I put out. But there will be times where I will just talk to the camera in a way like this, where I can deliver the how, the meat and potatoes of really how to do this. And what you'll see as a recurring theme is that the how, 9 times out of 10, is simply meditation. So we're gonna go over that a number of times in the future. And I think you guys will relate to it. If you've ever tried meditating, you know how frustrating it is. You sit there and your mind is just going a mile a minute, but stay with it. Meditating is the cornerstone activity. There's others, I'm not gonna give them away just yet, but there's at least 2 others that are coming to my mind right now that will also transform your life completely. And it doesn't take that long. So stay tuned for those things, please. And I really appreciate such a positive response to my videos. There's only a couple of them, but of the few that I've put out, it's a really nice response. That means a lot to me, it really does. So please stay tuned. I hope this helped. Pass it along, give it a like, a comment. I appreciate all of it. And hopefully it helps you to go supernova.